This show is mainly remembered for being the show long storyline. Of course, Mankind is theoretically Mr. McMahon's handpicked favorite for the title. He's been getting the most favorable matchups, and he's even going to be wrestling Dwayne Gill in the first round. But at the same time, The Rock is somehow getting lucky in his first round match, beating the Boss Man in seconds. And Shane McMahon appears like he's a babyface, with his dad demoting him to being a lowly referee. But we know Shane is going to screw Stone Cold in the semifinals. And then again in the finals, he's going to reveal himself to be aligned with his dad. In the finals, of course, that's where Vince and The Rock are going to screw Mankind. And the reveal here is that The Rock was actually Vince's handpicked corporate champion. And this is a show that even Vince Russo's biggest critics have to give him credit and say, this is as good as it gets. You know, what a great show long storyline this was. He gets a lot of credit for this. And I know that he's got his critics out there for the things that weren't awesome, but I think we should also give a little credit when things are awesome. And this seems like it's universally praised. What did you think of this? I know as a rule, most guys don't like tournament concepts, but when it comes to making a tournament interesting, I think they did this about as well as they could have. What say you, Jeff?
Well, first off, I believe, and Conrad, I don't know if this was just in the research, but when I read Vince Russo's masterpiece, have you ever heard it coined that way?
I've heard a lot of people say that this was his best angle, his best storytelling. Like even his critics who don't like Crash TV, they all seem to like this. And I think it's because, respectfully, most of the tournaments that we've seen in wrestling are not very memorable or very good. This one stands the test of time. It was good storytelling back then, and it's still good now.
Okay. And look, you know, I'm at the top of the list on, and I'll just kind of clarify it. A one night tournament is radically different than a week long, or it's just because it gives you, okay, we're going to see this payoff tonight because we're going to see the championship deal, and then you thread the story. But I'm you know, I don't know if this being called a masterpiece, because I think that you know, again, who all's in the room and how this went down, and The Rock and putting people in places to succeed. I just think it's interesting, not positive or negative that Vince, this is coined as his masterpiece. I just think that's unique. Never heard it that way. But I do think I'll call it pivot, if you will. And man, I got all kind of great feedback off last week, and there was some even on X, and I got a couple of comments on Instagram on Conrad, and I'm going to praise you too. Just kind of how you navigated through last week's episode. It was just a different look on it, and yeah, I thought it was, I don't say refreshing, but it's interesting. And now we're talking a year later, and the pivot from Vince McMahon, play-by-play, the face of the brand under that set of circumstances. And now here we are a year later as the Mr. McMahon character, and the impact he had on the industry as a character, as a heel. I'm not sure the best heel of all time, certainly up there. And I know because he didn't have matches week in and week out, but for a non-wrestler, my God, the impact. And so I think you just got to give, you know, Shane played his role. Obviously Rock played his role. The fertile ground that you had between Austin and McMahon, employee, employer, all the different pieces of the puzzle, even down to a Dwayne Gilbert, just how the story laid out. Yeah, it's a hell of a good story. But boy, oh boy, I look on this as, I can't say the launching pad, but the numbers probably spoke for themselves on how they went up. And yes, it was November, so going into Q1 and Q2 were good, but strong TV, strong storytelling, and what a payoff to this pay-per-view.
I want to ask you about another thing on this show. It's going to feature the end of Jacqueline's run as the first modern WWF Women's Champion, meaning this is the first reign in the post Medusa version of the title. She's going to lose the belt here to Sable, and I know that you're a big Jackie fan. And I don't think that Jackie and Luna Vachon get enough credit for their roles in the rise of Sable. Like, respectfully, I don't think wrestling was ever something Sable or Rena Mero ever imagined she would be doing. She is going to become one of the biggest stars, but the two gals who helped establish her as a star to the audience that I don't think get enough flowers are Jackie and Luna. Don't you agree?
I could not agree more. And you know, I can remember my old man and Lawler commenting on Jackie's like, damn, she throws a better punch than everybody on the card. And I think that went a long way because, and I don't want to, this can be a slippery slope, but you know, the cat fights, if you will, that had been such a big part of it. But then all of a sudden, Luna, then Jackie, they were just great heels. I guess, again, timing, attitude era. And then you have Sable and just the dynamic and the bathing suits and the reveal and Jerry Lawler playing a masterful role in kind of getting that whole vibe over as a part of the attitude era. Like, oh no, we're not supposed to see this. They did a lot of things right, but without that heel, and that's why I was complimenting Mr. McMahon character, and you can compliment Jackie as well. It's very, very, very difficult to get a babyface over at any level without the right heels, and Jackie was a perfect heel for her.
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name's Daryl. Came from Massachusetts and I moved to Wisconsin. And there's a lot of people that might be asking, why go with Conrad? Why go with Supreme Lending? And let me tell you something, brother. I think about the credentials, the tag team partner that I'd be working with. First of all, we got the Podfather himself, Conrad. How can you go wrong with that? And then also go on to SaveWithEric.com, which, you know, who else could have kicked Vince's ass for 83 consecutive weeks? You can't beat that duo right there. But they did bring a secret weapon, and I didn't realize this because this was not advertised. I worked closely with Larry the Axe Thompson. And let me tell you, with all the stress with moving across the country with a large family that I have, it was reassuring to know that I had the enforcer at my back, handling questions from the other side of sellers, the other side with trying to find the right prices. He took care of all that. All I had to do was keep my eye on the prize and make it there to Wisconsin. They were absolutely fantastic. They checked in on me, especially Francis, very patient with me. I don't go through this process all the time, so I trusted the experts. I was able to call them. They called me if they had questions, and it felt like it was a personal arrangement. There was even a point in which, from the seller side, they wanted something else that wasn't part of the norm. Francis straight up told me, hey, we're loyal to you. We'll do whatever you want to do, and we'll make sure that you guys are taken care of. They came through. I made it to the dream. I'm the champion of my own destiny here. They were able to help pave the way for me and my family. I couldn't be more happy with the results. I went from having less than an acre to now 20 acres worth of land. They made that dream a reality. I'm Daryl, and I'm living in Friendship, Wisconsin, in my dream home, thanks to SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com.